Good people, what is going on? Another episode of the All Go Podcast. I'm your host, Desmond. Thank you for tuning in. Greatly appreciate it. Got a couple things I wanted to cover and talk about. The first being the Oklahoma City Thunder just closed the deal. They are NBA champions, and they're within that game 7 just happened last night. Tyrese Haliburton unfortunately tore his Achilles. He had a calf strain he had a calf or ankle injury, I think, throughout the playoffs that he was nursing. And then he had a pretty serious calf injury in game 5 that he had to get an MRI, and he ended up playing game 6 and no issues there. And then game 7, he did tear his ACL his Achilles. And there's been a lot of discussion lately, just that I've seen just today, of this was the 8th Achilles tendon tear from NBA players this season, and the previous high mark was like 5. So, there's all types of people having their, opinions on things and what should the NBA do? They got to do something, so on and so forth. And I'll give my 2 cents on it. So, and I want to preface this by, I'm not an NBA guy. I'm not watching, I probably haven't seen 50 NBA games this season. Probably haven't seen 50 in the last 2 years. So I'm not someone who is a diehard watching NBA basketball nonstop. So take my, opinion for what's worth, basically nothing. But this is just what I think. I think that the NBA season, it's a very long season. I think they start up, October, November, I think in that time frame. And season finishes up around June, if you're in the playoffs, May, June timeline. What I think is, and what I see, is most of the NBA players that you see on social media, a lot of the clips that they post online and social media and all that good stuff is of them playing basketball. Like, there's some pretty kind of legendary clips that you'll see from almost all of them at UCLA. That seems to be a pretty common, place that a lot of the guys get together. A lot of them live in LA or have a place in LA. And you see them playing basketball all the time in the offseason. Now, I think that is a really good thing. You should be doing that, working on your craft. But my thought is, I think the vast majority of NBA players don't prepare their bodies to handle the type of workload that these guys are dealing with. They're playing faster and all that good stuff. But when in the regular, in the actual season, you're playing basketball nonstop. In the off season, you're playing basketball nonstop. So you're constantly and consistently working the same muscle groups, the same tendons, all that good stuff, like constantly, versus spending time in the weight room, right? I know it's probably a tough comparison, but everyone's seen the Michael Jordan, right? The Last Dance, when it showed him bulking up, playing the Pistons, trying to get ready for that. But he changed his body from early in his career and in that 7, 8, 9 year time frame. And he did that in the weight room. And I think that's part of what the issues that they, with the injuries, because I, like I said, just my guesstimation, just my opinion, doesn't mean anything. But I think that's the problem. And there, people talking about, well, we need to have less playoff games. In what world are the NBA owners going to sign up to have less playoff games? They might sign up for less games. It's never going to be in the playoffs, because that's when they are getting their highest ticket for the games. I would imagine they're selling more merchandise at that point. I who knows? I can't prove that. But for the same seat that costs $80, it's now costing, I don't know, $600-700, $800. The Knicks kind of court side. I don't remember how much it was, but it was a ton of money. So they're definitely not signing up for that. And another piece of it is In today's, the environment that we're in, medicine has never been better. The amenities that these guys have, and I'm talking specific to recovery, right? So the vitamins, the leg compression sleeves, hyperbaric chambers, the way that they travel. You're not playing a game in Chicago and hopping on a bus to Philadelphia or New York or anything like that, right? Or Miami, let's say. You're not playing a game in Chicago and then hopping on a bus to get to Miami. These guys are flying private. It's as comfortable as can be. You got massage guns all over the place. You got all kinds of creams that you can, rub on sore muscles. It's endless. And you want to have less of a workload, even though things have it's never been a better time to be an NBA player. You guys are making, it's exponentially more than, 30 years ago. And as they should. It's hard to do. But this notion that, hey, we need to, we need to cut the regular season down by 10 games. All that's going to do is you're going to have guys now, instead of playing 65 games, they're going to play 55 games. It's not going to change anything, because the culture is there of the load management. And somehow we've been convinced that it works, even though, based on this data that they're talking about, granted, this is one specific injury, but 5 was the max. Now it's 8. Well, where's the data that shows me that load management works? Because the media is certain in telling us that it works. We've got data. We'll show it, because it doesn't seem that way. Guys seem like they're more injured than ever, and maybe it's hey, we're paying this guy $50 million, so we're not gonna. We don't want to jeopardize it, right? If he's got hamstring's a little sore, he could play through it. But as far as the best intentions based on that investment in that player is, let's make sure he's 100% healthy. Let's sit him a week, reevaluate him, then go from there. So it's a weird conversation. And honestly, I don't know the answer to it. I do think they need to look at the only thing I would say is just the back-to-backs. That I do think, while I think they can manage it and can, deal with it, I think it's in the NBA's best interest to change that. And maybe there's only a certain amount that you can do. Maybe, I don't know, 5 back-to-backs, 10 back-to-backs in a season. But I would say limit that. But once again, the difficult part is, with these, the Achilles tendon, because we had Haliburton, Dame, Jason Tatum. I think that was 3 that were in the playoffs, and that's obviously when everyone's talking about this. You don't play, every night in the playoffs. You have at minimum 1 game in between. For most of the playoff series, there was multiple games or multiple days in between the games. So even if you remove the back-to-back, well, guys didn't get hurt in back-to-backs. Guys got hurt in, having a day or 2 off in between, the gameplay. So, like I said, I don't know the answer, but I think cutting playoff games and having 10 or 12 or 15 less NBA games is not going to fix anything. Well, let me repeat that. With the playoff games, trying to cut that down, the NBA owners are never doing that. They're never doing that. And then also, cutting it down 10 to 15 games, I just don't. Who knows? But once again, I'm not sure NBA owners would sign up for that either, because if you're saying call it 10 less games, well, that's 5 less home games that we have, 5 less opportunities to fill up my, what do they hold, 30, 50,000 stadium, and sell merchandise that's right kind of ticket sales, beer sales, all that good stuff. So I don't see the NBA owners ever signing up for that or agreeing to that, but we shall see what happens. That is it for me. Appreciate it. Peace.